Babies on solids and baby-led weaning. I feel like what I lacked in breastfeeding, because it wasn't a perfect journey, I sort of made up for when I started Sadie on solids. I really looked into nutrition at the very beginning, but once I started reading more, the term baby-led weaning came up. I obviously started her on purees for about 2 weeks, and then after that I transitioned to finger foods already when she was, I think, 7 months old. A lot of you ask me about solids and baby-led weaning, so I am not an expert. I'm just a mom also, so everything that I say or anything that you find on the internet, definitely consult a pediatrician first or a pediatric dietitian to see if it's suitable for your baby. I'm gonna answer some questions that you guys asked me in the most brief and interesting way possible, but please don't take my word for it. Definitely do your own research and always consult a doctor. What is the best month for your baby to be introduced to baby-led weaning? So in Australia, they actually start babies on baby-led weaning at 6 months of age. So baby-led weaning is where we encourage them to self-feed and hold finger foods as opposed to just purees. So they start them off with finger foods, and I did it 2 weeks after purees because I was scared of choking as well, which a lot of you guys are concerned about. That's why you hold back on giving babies finger foods. How does Sadie's meal plan look like? Do you write it down, and how do you prep it? Yes, I write it down. You have to create a grocery list, of course. The simplest thing that I can say about baby-led weaning and meal planning for that is every Sunday, just make like 1 slow-cooked meat and a variety of steamed and roasted vegetables that the entire family can eat. And with slow-cooking meats, it can really just be in water with a bit of garlic and onions, and you strain that out after. But you slow-cook it as long as you possibly can so that the meat is soft enough for you to mash in between your 2 fingers. If you can do that, then it poses a very small choking risk. It's only when you're giving babies food that are hard and like in the shape of something that can block their airway, then that's the real choking risk. Gagging is completely normal, and gagging is different from choking, so do some research online to differentiate what they are so that you're not panicking. Just, you know, be relaxed around mealtime and use it as an opportunity for bonding with your baby and your family. Like, not like, oh, it's a chore, I have to sit here and feed my baby. No, you eat together. Even if it takes an hour, it's a good use of your time. It's a good thing to do during a wake window, because, you know, with babies, you're always thinking like, what do I do next with her? Like, how do I entertain my baby? Eating and like having your baby sit there in a high chair while you prepare her food and having her play with a knife. No, just kidding. Having her play with a spatula while you're cooking is a good use of both of your time, because she is understanding how food gets made and also exploring the tools in the kitchen. But I think it shouldn't be a hindrance to you giving your baby nutritious variety of solid food. Slow cooked meats, whether it's chicken tenders, it's beef brisket, chicken with bone in, just make it as soft as you possibly can. And same goes for the vegetables. If you're steaming it, it could even go for until an hour. Make the size of the vegetables like as small as your pinky finger into sticks, and then you'll know that they're safe and soft enough to eat if you can mash it with your fingers. And for roasted veg, toss it in olive oil, salt, a little bit of salt. They say don't give salt, a little bit of salt just for some yumminess, pepper, and using high quality olive oil or coconut oil will help the roasted vegetables stay soft. It won't like have such hard crispy edges. And if ever you do get that, just cut it off. Don't give your baby the hard crispy edge. One more hack that Isa and I like to do actually is we put some, if the meat has already dried up a bit because it's been in the freezer or the fridge, you just heat it up with some bone broth or even some water, because Dea and Sadie and some other babies we know don't like to eat dry meat, but they like it when it's moist and soft and has sabaw, has soup. So yeah, that's really all I do with Sadie. I don't create such like complex like meat patties and like, you know, things that are flavored like with too many ingredients. It's really just high quality meat and high quality vegetables, a variety of textures and flavors on her plate all the time. And I have been lucky enough, I guess, with her that she's not fussy with food. She will eat anything on her plate. And sometimes she doesn't even stop. She'll keep going until there's nothing left on her plate. I understand that, you know, mealtime is stressful and a struggle for some parents. I'm not saying that Sadie is a completely perfect eater or I've done everything right. I just really wanted to share the things that we have done in our home that maybe was the reason why Sadie is taking to solids on a much smoother path. She definitely has her off days, but on a whole, she loves food and she will eat anything that I give her. And we have had no choking scares, just gagging in the very early weeks, but now she's fine. Do you prepare food on a weekly basis? How do you prepare the variety? And do you preheat food before giving? How? Microwave and recommended BLW essentials. Okay, I have a lot of glass containers of different sizes, especially the small ones that are single serve for us, but actually is good for about 2 to 3 servings for a baby. I use glass and not plastic. I meal plan, I batch cook every Sunday, and the amount of food that I make usually is for the whole month already, but I still do it every Sunday. So after the second or the third week, I already have a variety of things. It's the vegetables that I make fresh once or twice a week, the steamed and roasted veg, but her slow-cooked meats, I do it in a big batch, and there's always some in the freezer, and there's always just one small container in the fridge. How I reheat it, I rarely use a microwave. Sometimes I'll put it in a small pot. Other times, if it's coming from frozen, then I put the food with the small glass container in a steamer basket, and then I steam it. A microwave is totally fine. It's okay. You can do that if that's what's easy for you. I think what matters is you give your baby some homemade food and not just food out of a jar or out of a packet. And also I have these freezer trays where I freeze her meats and stuff. So she doesn't do purees anymore now. Actually, when we're just on the road traveling, but I always bring like food for her in a little container, like just some steamed veggies and some slow-cooked meats. We try to keep it simple. When did you start giving Sadie water? I started around the same time as solids, so you can give them little sips of water. Oh, another thing, yeah, fruits. Always a variety of fruits. So here, this I think answers also big question around fruits. We stopped pureeing fruits like on the 3rd week or the 2nd week, a long time ago. So now there are certain fruits that are high in pectin, if I'm not mistaken, that are better served to babies cooked. So apples, peaches, pears, some stone fruit. I cut them up into 1/2-inch wedges and I poach them. So meaning like you just boil them for a little bit in water. Sometimes I add cinnamon, so I always have a variety of fruit in the fridge, which I give her in the morning or she has as a snack. And in terms of texture, not super mashable. So you want it firm enough that it holds its shape, but then when you bite it, you're still able to crush the fruit with just your tongue and palate of your mouth. Some of the soft fruit that they can just eat on their own is like mango, avocado. At Sadie's age now, which we started I think around 8 months, you just cut them to be bite-sized. But they have to be soft enough wherein like if they don't chew it well enough, it will still go down smoothly. So there are only certain fruits that you can do that with. Just test all the fruit and discover which fruits you feel are appropriate to serve to your baby. What did you prepare as her first solid food? It was pureed fruits and veggies, but we introduced meats very early. Meat and iron is very important for babies. Babies should be getting their iron from the source, like from meat, not like iron enriched cereal. Sadie loves her meat. She loves lamb, she loves beef. I think don't hold back on giving your baby opportunities to practice their oral motor skills, to chew. At 6 months, how many times did you offer solids? So we were advised by a midwife and a nurse, you start with breakfast and lunch first for a couple of weeks, and then after like 2 or 3 weeks, then you can start to add dinner. We did this at 6 months actually. So by the time she was 7 months, she was on 3 meals already a day. There are some questions here about babies throwing food. This wasn't a very long stage for Sadie, and I would say maybe it's because she has had most, if not all, of her meals with me. We eat together, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So we try to eat the same things as well. I feed her something that I can eat, or I eat something that she's eating, just a larger portion. So I think because she sees me and her dad eating with her, the instinct for her is to just keep putting food in her mouth as well. I know sometimes like parents don't have the luxury of eating at the same time with their parents and someone has to sit and feed them there and you eat after at a different time. That's okay too, but maybe the reason why Sadie is eating so well at her age right now is because we all eat together as a family. So I also make sure that I model how to eat. So for example, I would pick the food up off her plate and then feed myself or feed her and, you know, show her how to chew and how to swallow. It's not just I'm spoon feeding her something every single time. That's what we did. So maybe that's the reason why. We also have a thing called a catchy, which ships worldwide from the US. There are some high chairs that are compatible with the catchy. So it's just like a little tray that goes under the seat of the high chair. So when they throw the food, it just ends up there and it's easier to clean. You don't have to clean it off the floor. My baby doesn't want to hold on to his food yet. He's 13 months now. So again, the answer to that is I think eat all your meals with your baby and eat with your fingers as well. Take food off their plate or have them take food off your plate and eat it together. If they're holding their food, you say, give mama, and then you have them feed you with the food that they're holding. It takes practice. Like, don't get frustrated also if it doesn't work the first time or the 10th time. Just keep doing it. Keep trying. You can also say, oh, my baby just doesn't eat this way, and that's okay. But if according to your values and your situation, like you need your baby to do something, it's okay to just keep trying up until the point where like they've had enough. If you're both getting frustrated, just like do what needs to be done so that they're eating food. You don't skip the meal completely and say, oh, they'll just have milk forever. No. Apart from 3 meals, do you give her snacks in between? If so, what kind of snacks? The only snacks that she has are fruit and teething rusks. They're like teething crackers and some liver. I make chicken liver pate. I'm gonna share that recipe soon. Liver is very good for babies to have. They need that iron. What did you start feeding Sadie with more, textures or bite sizes? My baby is now 9 months. Both. I did both at the same time, but I feel like for Sadie, the bite sizes that worked best is chopping them up into bite-sized pieces. Because if it's a wedge and I give her the wedge, she will try to fit the whole wedge in her mouth. So she doesn't hold and bite gently. She doesn't do that. So it's better that we cut it up into like 1/2-inch strips, not even cubes, because cubes can sometimes still pose as a choking risk. If it's a thin like rectangle, then it's easier for her to mash up in her mouth or maybe even just swallow if that's what she ends up doing. And it'll still more easily break apart as opposed to like a cube that's thick on all sides. Oh, very detailed na yon. So hopefully that little nuance of how to serve babies solid food will minimize the anxiety over feeding your baby. Do you cook everything that she eats? 99% yes. The thing that I just don't cook are the teething rusks. But when we traveled to the Philippines, we had food pouches. So I pureed some meats and veggies that I already had in the freezer, some stews, and I put it in a Haka silicone self-feeder pouch. But I also purchased some from this brand called Juka. You can just get those in the supermarket. Any brand is okay, just as long as, you know, the ingredients are as pure as you can possibly make it. Not a lot of additives. When you're traveling, sometimes you just need to feed your baby out of a pouch, and that's okay. What resources did you read up on? Milk to Meals. That book is really good. That's all I'm gonna answer for today. There are too many questions. I'm gonna have to do a part 2, part 3, and part 4, but hopefully that was enough information to get you started on solids, or, you know, have a renewed perspective on how to feed your baby based on my experience. But once again, always consult a pediatric dietitian or a pediatrician when making changes to your baby's food, milk intake, and sleep. And always assess as a family if that is suitable for you, because there's no right or wrong when it comes to parenting, only what feels right for you at the time. If you have any more questions about baby-led weaning, just put it in the comment section and I will put it together and answer it next time. Thanks, guys!